Are you suffering or struggling through life right now? If you clicked on this video, you probably are. And today, we're going to talk about 3 points that will hopefully help you begin to pull out of your suffering. I can tell you that 3 years ago, I was in a major state of depression and anxiety, and I was in a pit and in a tunnel where I could see no light. I've been there. How about you?
I've absolutely been there. Something we wanted to let you guys know too is we aren't just coming to you talking from random thoughts. Growing up, I've had ADD, ADHD, manic depressant, alcoholic, recovering for 11 years. I've battled bouts of depression. My mom's told me stories of doing suicide watch when I was a kid. So, yeah, I've been there. I've been struggling. I've been in the pit of despair.
So we know what it feels like. And here's the first point. We'll get right to it. Newsflash, maybe it's okay not to be okay.
That's the thing that people don't get, Rob. It is okay to not be okay. As men, so many times, and I hate saying this just as men because it's the fact, as men, we're told that we need to be strong. We can never show weakness. We can never have feelings almost. And it's kind of frustrating because we do feel.
So the first point, it is. It is okay not to be okay. As a matter of fact, do you know that 1 in 5 men struggle with depression and 1 in 3 women struggle with depression? So the first point is get to accepting the fact that you are suffering or struggling in your life. And that will move you to getting help. I can tell you that for me, my depression and anxiety, I believe, struggled with a major life event tied to one of my family members getting very sick. And I buried it. And had I not done that, I probably would have got help right away. And there really are a couple different ways to get help. Number one, reach out to a friend. 2, maybe go to counseling. Or 3, there are hotlines out there too. There are people that you can talk to. But don't bury it. For me, that was kind of the beginning, I would say, of the end. Sometimes you just can't figure things out on your own. And accepting the fact that you're suffering and struggling is not a weakness. It's your first step to realizing that it's truly a strength and maybe the next step to getting help.
You're not wrong. Something AA taught me,
Excuse me.
You're never going to recover. You're never going to get better if you don't accept who you are. You need to accept who you are. I've accepted the fact that I am a recovering alcoholic, and to be honest, I'm proud of it. Why? Because now that I know I'm an alcoholic, I know how to handle it, I know how to deal with it, and I know what to do about it. And that's something that it's okay. I'm not okay. I'm completely mentally unhinged and stable, probably. Let's be real. But because I've accepted those things about myself, I've accepted where I'm at, I can start doing things to fix it.
Yeah, and again, you mentioned taking steps to fix it. There are a lot of tools out there, but again, really getting back to the point of the first point of accepting it is key. And there is no glory in suffering. There is in sacrifice. Maybe kind of what you're going through is a sacrifice for something bigger to come. Maybe we're going to use this to help somebody else down the road, but just know that there is a purpose to your suffering. So again, accept it, surrender to it. I would tell you from firsthand experience, it's a first step to restoration, renewing, and rebuilding your life. So that's point number 1. Josh, I'm going to have you cover point number 2.
Point number 2 we're going to talk about is self-compassion. Trying to be kind to yourself through all of it, realizing that you're going to make mistakes. Mistakes happen. There's this thing called the human condition.
Been there.
Yeah, I think we all have. The human condition is something that's called free will. God has a set of plans in place and a path that he would like us to follow to gain eternity in heaven. That's what he wants for us. He wants us to spend time in his kingdom and in his word. And there's a multitude of ways to do that, But what we have to do is we have to remember we're not the judge of us. Stop being so hard on yourself.
Was that one of your challenges when you were kind of struggling, years ago?
It is. It's a big problem, and it was my struggle even just 11 years ago getting sober, is beating myself up. But I had to take myself into my coaching days for softball and say, you know what, guys, stop being so hard on yourself. That's not your job. That's my job. My job as the coach is to be hard on you. Your job is to accept it. Your job is to do what you have to do and accept what you have to accept to move forward in life. So beating...
Kind of came back to that first point, acceptance.
Yeah, I did. It's kind of weird, huh? It's kind of weird how these things kind of tie together, that when you start having self-compassion for yourself, when you start realizing that you're not as big of a piece of crap as you think, when you start realizing that I like the person looking back at me in the mirror. It took me a solid 7 years of sobriety before I liked the person looking back at me.
7 years.
7 years of wallowing in it, going, what have I done? Who have I become? Who is this man in front of me? And I didn't like the reflection looking back at me.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe a tough answer, but do you think that you could have done something to get there quicker? Or anything to get there quicker if it took you 7 years?
There was a few things that I could have done different. And it's things that I've learned along the way. I didn't get as involved with God in the beginning because me and God didn't have a great relationship. I've lost a lot of people in my life, a lot of close people, to suicide, to drug overdoses, things like that.
That really affected your mental health then?
It 100% affected my mental health, and not only did it affect my mental health, it absolutely destroyed my relationship with God. I'm not even going to lie. I'm not going to try to candy coat it and say that I've been this great devout Christian my whole life, because I haven't. I haven't. It's only been in the past few years, 5 to 6 years, where I've actually turned my life around and made myself a good Christian. And I did that by listening to people who had what I had. So that's going to tie in our last thing here today, and it's growth. Something I had to learn is my way got me where I was. Thinking the way I think got me where I am. So how do I get out of the place that I don't want to be to get where I want to be? For me, that's the question to you in growth. How do you grow from where you are and get to where you want to be?
You asking me the question?
That's my question to you. I'm curious,
You know,
curious your thought on that.
I have a couple thoughts around that, but I think I mentioned, for me, I mean, again, I'll go back to the first point. For me, it was just surrendering to the fact that I was dealing with something in my life, that I had to deal with something in my life, but I ignored it. I don't know if that's the answer that you're looking for, but I will tell you that the other thing was, again, my comment earlier was I couldn't see the light at the end of the tunnel, and when I got to the point of accepting it and realizing that there was a bigger purpose, I could see the purpose of the why behind the suffering and the struggle. And again, my earlier comment, there's no glory in suffering, but there is in sacrifice, and I realized that maybe this happened for a reason, and it got me just stepping outside of kind of the issue itself and the struggle itself. And I really just kind of began to get outside of myself, and that's when I began to grow. And you were one of the key guys that helped me through that, which is kind of why we're here today.
Absolutely. And I like the direction.
I don't know if that's the answer that you're looking for.
No, there is no right or wrong answer. There really isn't. That's the best part about it. You touched on a lot of things that I was going to bring up too. And the thing for me is, what I learned is I had to start asking the people who had what I wanted to get where I wanted to be. Bottom line. I can sit here and I can think about my next move. I can ask God for help on that next move. But the problem is my brain doesn't think the right way. And my brain doesn't think the right way because for decades and decades, I did things my way. My way got me where I was. The way I got to where I am is by asking people who had what I wanted. So if you see someone out there, someone you may go to church with, someone you have small group with, even if it's someone you work with, maybe they have a life that you want. I looked up to a gentleman who owned his own business, very successful man. His hobby does probably better than his company does. I mean, that's how smart of a businessman this guy is on the business side. Now, family side, he's got a huge family. He's got a loving wife and a bunch of loving kids. And I looked at his life and I wanted to emulate that life. I wanted what he had. He had a bunch of kids who loved and adored him as their father and as their patriarch of the family. They trusted his leadership and they wanted to follow him wherever he would go.
So did this guy ever have a struggle in his life?
Yeah.
What was it?
Well, it's not for mine to say, unfortunately, because
Okay.
that's the thing about the life
his
I've
struggle-
learned to live is I got to stop focusing on other people's struggles and look at myself.
But did his struggle kind of help you through years? Is what I'm asking.
His struggle is probably one of the key things that got me out of my struggle.
Well, there you go. That gets back to the growth piece, right? So you connected with
It is.
somebody who had a struggle that you could relate to, which kind of helped you pull out of it. So again, I think
They had a struggle I could relate to, but they also had the life I wanted. And that's the thing that I want you guys out there to understand. Don't just look at people who are going through the same things you're going through, okay? Because if you followed me 7 years ago, I'm telling you, you'd still be in a dark place. You would be. That's the facts. Because my brain was not programmed to do the next right thing. I had to, it's kind of funny, Rob, but I have to admit this. Early on in my sobriety, when I was going to do something, I would call this man. And it'd be something as simple as going to a restaurant. Hey, I'm thinking of going to this restaurant. Is this a good idea? All right, well, let's weigh the pros and cons. And he'd sit there and he'd walk through it step by step with me and get me to my own conclusion. He wouldn't come up with the answer, but he would help me.
you were reaching out.
Yes. I did that thing that you said in the beginning. Reach out. There's a nifty little device we have. It's called, a tablet or a laptop or a phone. Pick it up. We call it the brick. It's the brick that nobody wants to pick up because if they have to pick it up, it means they have a problem. And if they have a problem, it means they have to deal with it. And if they have to deal with it, well, I don't know the solution, so I'd rather just not deal with it.
Yeah, but so that's part of the growth is being able to reach out to people and surrounding to the fact that you do need help. And you know what? Just having that one person in your life can make a total difference. And again, I know that you were there for me, 2 years ago when I was like, man, I'm still really in this pit. What's your secret? And Josh will share more down the road. But I think that getting back to the growth piece, when you are in a struggle or struggling in your life, it makes you more expansive. And what I mean by that is, you just become, and for me, I became more fearless in my life because I went through this deep, deep pit and darkness in my life. When I came out of it, I just saw things so differently.
You're right. And the reason I kind of laid back was I was just kind of giggling because you found the beauty in the darkness. You've been living in this darkness for so long.
And that's why we're here.
Got that glimmer of hope.
That's right.
And you went, I want that. I'm tired of living like this.
That's right.
I'm tired of staying stagnant. I'm tired of not moving forward in my spiritual side, in my emotional side, in my physical side. I feel like I'm staying stagnant.
Well, I was going home literally. Even when I was starting to come out of it, I'd go home, I'd do my job, I'd go home, and I'd just sit in front of the TV just waiting 3 hours, just to go to bed, doing nothing, but kind of, more of the self-loathing.
I was going to say wallowing in self-pity.
Wallowing.
Oh, poor me. My life sucks.
Exactly.
Oh, it's tough. Things are hard.
And things can be hard. We don't want to downplay that because right now you may be in a pit right now. But we want to let you know that there is light at the end of that tunnel. And again, we talked about 3 things today, right? Acceptance, self-compassion, and growth.
Right, and like Rob said, we're not trying to downplay it. My sarcasm and snarkiness is just
but some people might need to hear it that way.
Probably part of my defense mechanisms because, I'm having to deal with those issues myself.
That's what I love about you. You're so real.
I try to be. I try to be real. I try to wear my heart on my sleeve and try to be honest. There's a reason it's hard, okay? Life is hard. It's meant to be hard.
When you say it's meant to be hard, can you expand on it? Is it really meant to be hard?
It is.
Or it's simply it's gonna be hard. When you say meant,
so what I mean by life is meant to be hard is because if it was easy, it'd be called heaven.
Because I don't want life to be hard.
I don't want life to be hard.
But it is.
But it is. It's meant to be, and that's what you need to start understanding. The sooner you can understand the fact that your life is supposed to be hard, it's supposed to be painful, it's supposed to be tricky, the sooner you can start growing. That's right back to point 1. Acceptance is the key to everything. The sooner you can accept where you've gotten yourself, because you did this. If you take a deep, dark look, you did this. Did people play a part in it? 100%.
But there are times when people have major trauma in their life, and it wasn't their fault. I mean,
Well, it is,
right?
but it isn't.
I mean,
And that's what I'm saying. Because the path you choose to go down, the emotions you choose to follow, that's your choice. That's not my choice. That's no one else's choice. So you do have a choice.
you do.
You have a
Right.
choice to be happy or sad. And something I've had to learn, and part of why you came to me those years ago, was bad things are going to happen in my life, and there's going to be times in my life where it sucks.
And sometimes it's going to be self-inflicted.
Yep.
You're going to make a big mistake.
Me too, alcoholic. There's going to be times where it is self-inflicted 100%, and there's going to be a lot of times where it's not. But where you have to accept and take control is your emotions.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing to do. We're going to cover that in another video down
Yes,
the road.
absolutely.
But again, it's what you believe. It's your thoughts determine your beliefs, and your beliefs determine your emotions, and your emotions determine your actions.
And your
And
actions determine your
outcomes. Right? So it's in that order. So
It's literally that simple when we lay it out.
So when-
Listen to that again, though. Say that again, because I need you guys to hear this. Because this is the basis of everything moving forward for
it
us.
is. So again, it's what you think determines what you believe. What you believe determines your emotions. Your emotions determine your actions, and your actions
Dictate.
determine your outcomes. It's that simple. So acceptance will get you the first step of whatever you're thinking. Self-compassion will actually get you to the point of whatever you're thinking, and realizing that there is growth on the other end will get you to what am I thinking about my current situation. 3 points that we talked about. So to wrap up, I just want you to remember that you are never alone,
We love you.
and there is hope in this suffering society.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Rob. We'll see you on the next video.